Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, and also the moderator, Yunus Hussein. You shouldn't be surprised why I'm leaving earlier. I'm not running away from questions. There is a capable team here that will deal with that. Unfortunately, once we had decided to come here, we had to touch base with the Prime Minister, and we were given the time that is closer to this one. So I'll have to go and quickly see the Prime Minister. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy Minister, for the introduction. The Deputy Minister said earlier to me that I must deliver a keynote address. Now the problem with the keynote address is that I can speak for 3 hours. So you must always say we've asked him to make some remarks. It's better that way. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Ambassador Designate Nicole Schreiber. Let me also recognize Mr. John Melder, Chair of the South Africa Island Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Johnny Sexton, whom we cannot but make a special mention of being a rugby loving nation. Distinguished guests, it is indeed a privilege to be here at the Island South Africa Trade and Investment Roundtable with you today, demonstrating the solid and long-lasting relationship between our two countries. Our nations share a vision of prosperity and sustainable growth built on the foundation of mutual respect, trust, and collaboration that began many years ago. This roundtable aims to strengthen bilateral trade and investment relations between Ireland and South Africa, focusing particularly on growth opportunities. We all know, friends, that the global economy is rapidly evolving and adapting and innovating and creating crucial new opportunities. Therefore, the engagement aims to enhance the bilateral trade between our two countries to ensure that we improve people's lives. The focus is on understanding the potential for growth in the global economy. It is our responsibility as leaders in our various regions to cultivate an environment that promotes entrepreneurship, stimulates innovation, and propels inclusive growth. South Africa is committed to creating an enabling business environment that should attract investment, spurs economic development, and create the much needed job opportunities. We understand the significance of collaboration with countries like Ireland, which share our values and aspirations for a better future. As a country, we want to enhance our exports of value-added goods and services to Ireland. It is admirable that the two countries already trade in food and beverages. However, I must admit that the global pandemic has hindered our trade partnership, leading to only modest progress. And many people have been really saying that the growth of our trade relationship has slowed down, and we therefore need to identify measures to expedite once again international trade and investments. I strongly believe that there is significant potential to increase the volume and value of various products, including those that are manufactured. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that some of you might be asking yourselves questions like, why should we invest in South Africa? But I know Deputy Minister said he has been here 3 times, so I'm sure he must have dealt with that question. But let me just say that we pride ourselves as a country which, one of the many reasons which would like you to invest in South Africa is because we have political stability. We just came from elections recently in May, and I'm proud to say that it was a peaceful election. Some of the people who thought they will win, they didn't win. You know them. Some who thought they've lost out, got something. Now, it was a very interesting election because we emerged from that peaceful election and agreed to work together. You know, when voters give you, as many parties, a little bit of votes here, votes there, at the end of the day, we believe that the message was work together. And that's when the president said, let's form a government of national unity, as all parties that got some votes in this election. Now, we were about 11 parties that agreed to form a government of national unity. One of the parties withdrew. When you are busy negotiating, some people think, I'm not getting what I want. So, bye-bye guys, I'm gone. So we are left as 10 parties now in the GNU. What keeps the GNU strong is the fact that we agreed on certain principles from the beginning. We said, let's agree that one of the important things to keep this government of national unity together should be a pledge to uphold fundamental principles of respect for the Constitution of our country, non-racialism, social justice, human dignity, nation building, peace and stability, accountability, and ensure evidence-based policy, but also professional development of the public service and its integrity. So we agreed on that because we didn't want just to come together and say, maybe if we work together, you get 2 seats or 2 ministries. We said, what drives us? What brings us together? And these were the principles, about 10 of them. But we then further considered some other factors that we thought were important. And one of them was, let us together as a GNU drive investments to South Africa. Ensure that we can grow the economy and create jobs. So that's why you'll see every time we speak, we talk about inclusive growth, job creation, but also deal with the challenge of cost of living, which has affected many in the world. So we have not been spared this problem. South Africans are reeling with high prices of food and goods. So as a GNU, we said one of the things we'll have to look at is the issue of dealing with the cost of living. We then agreed that to grow our economy, we need quality infrastructure, better logistics, because as you may be aware, South Africa has a number of multinationals that are operating in Africa, most of them based in South Africa. Some of your companies probably are part of those. So we said let's continue to ensure that there's a well-developed and diversified manufacturing base, a lucrative emerging market, favorable market access to the globe, and innovation and technology hub. We do have in a province like Gauteng what we call the innovation hub, but also we pride of ourselves with abundant natural resources. As you may be aware, a lot of natural resources in South Africa. So we thought, let's make sure that these are used to drive trade and growth. But we also consider ourselves as Africa's leading financial hub. Many of you may have done business or are doing business in Africa will know that this is in fact the case. Many sound financial institutions are based in Johannesburg. But we also have a very young labor market, or labor workforce. And of course, I do believe as well that there is also an excellent quality of life in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, several South African key science and technology innovations and achievements include amongst the following: Creepy Crowley automatic pool cleaner, CAT scan, Q20 lubricant, Pratley Party, and smart lock safety syringe. We also have what we call the Square Kilometer Array, SKA, in the Northern Cape Province, which for us is one of the catalysts for science technology in our country. But a lot of engineering business opportunities are being created, and we believe that that has put South Africa on top of the map as we deal with issues of innovation and engineering in the world. Program Director, as I mentioned earlier, the global pandemic COVID-19 really did affect us badly, like many other countries, as I said, which led to economic slowdown, not of course only in the developing economies, but also in developed economies. So we do need to come up with a response. I know many countries have been doing that, come up with various method of dealing with this economic slowdown. In our country, the president introduced what we call economic reconstruction and recovery plan immediately following the pandemic in 2021. And this plan really was, amongst others, to focus on infrastructure. And we increased spending right across the board in infrastructure, providing employment stimulus in order to sustain jobs. So there are many things that we are doing, building dams, bridges, and various such infrastructure in provinces and even in some of our rural areas. We also looked at what else could we do to be able to deal with the setback brought by COVID-19. And we realized that we need to stimulate industrial development. So we've got programs like, and I'm sure Deputy Minister will talk to you about it, Operation Pakisa, which is led by National Treasury, and Operation Vulindlela, which is led by the Presidency. And this interventions was to ensure structural reforms in various sectors of our economy, including, amongst others, the ease of doing business. You know, there are many people who are complaining that when you want to do business in South Africa, it takes too long. I don't know if that's your experience. And so we had to look into that and ensure that we cut red tape so that when people want to do business in South Africa, they want to invest, they are responded to quickly. So Operation Vulindlela is looking at those various kind of reforms, including the problems of visa. There have been some business people, as we travel around, they complain. The president was telling me a story recently that when they were in China, one of the CEOs of one of our major banks was saying to the president, we are a partner with one of the Chinese banks, and when I want to go to China, I get my visa in 2 days, but when my partner wants to come to South Africa, it takes him 6 months to get the visa. So we agreed with the president, we need to sort out this problem immediately, so that when people want to come and do business in South Africa, they must feel that we are friendly, we want them to come. We must not behave like we don't want you to come. You know, like, you know, some of the officials that you get in customs at airports, it's almost like, what do you want here? So we must not come across that way. So through Operation Vulindlela, we are now sorting out this problem of visas, cutting red tape in us responding to the problem of development. I was very impressed once I visited Rwanda when I was still in the province of Gauteng, and I wanted to see what they're doing there, and I've heard that they are very successful. And one of the things that impressed me was, I asked them if somebody applies to have a license to start a business, how long do you take to deal with that problem? And they said 6 hours. Yes, 6 hours. So you apply, in 6 hours you get a response whether you get in the license or not. Not a reply that says we acknowledge receipt of your application, which is what bureaucrats likes doing. Yes, also, and then you sit with that for 6 months, that we acknowledge receipt of your letter or your application. They said in 6 hours, the person will know whether they have the permit or not. So I went back to Gauteng and I said, guys, I think we can do it too. And at the time, it used to take us 2 years to approve applications for development. And I said to them, cut down. Before I left Gauteng, we cut down to 6 months. And the new premier after me said, I'm now at 21 days. So it goes. I'm hoping that they are improving even much better. But it's very important, the response time to investors is critical. Because investors can go anywhere. You are sitting here in Dublin. Why must you back South Africa if you can go to Brazil or elsewhere? This world is competitive, and those who want investments must show that they want investments by the way they respond to application and receive people in their country. Let me try and move a bit faster so that there is time for engagements. I just want to say that one of the things that we are prioritizing is the energy sector. Many of you know that we come from that period of load shedding, and we decided we have to tackle this problem. You must be aware by now that we almost, Deputy Minister is now towards
round up
100 and how many?
call it
200 days.
Close to 200.
Close to 200 days of no load shedding, and I'm convinced it won't come back. The kind of interventions we have now put in place will ensure that it doesn't come back. But for you as business people, there are opportunities to invest. You know, ESCOM has been a monopoly for many years. And one of the things we said we should do, let's create 3 different companies, one focusing on generation, another one to focus on transmission, and another one distribution. That work has already started. Those companies are being set up as we speak. And one of the opportunities for investors is that we're going to need the private sector to invest also in transmission. There's a lot of work that must happen to get electricity to rural areas and many other areas. So it's not just generation. Yes, a lot of opportunities in generation. You must have heard the Minister of Energy talking about what they call bid windows. They are opening opportunities for the private sector to come in. Just to share with you briefly some of the immediate things that they are doing is the department has announced a further 6,800 megawatts of solar PV and wind, which they want to procure through bid window 5, 6, and 7. I'm sure the team that remains here will go into details with those. Future windows will also be created to procure additional 3,000 megawatt of gas is needed, and 500 plus megawatts of battery storage. We believe that these will boost the government initiative to bring in the private sector to participate in this initiative. There was a time when there was a threshold put by NESA that the private sector cannot generate beyond 100 megawatts. We've removed that. So the opportunity is much stronger. We are now looking at hydrogen. So we have noted that hydrogen economy has been identified as a potential game changer for our country. So the hydrogen economy is key. As we move towards 2050, we will be investing a lot on this. But there are other opportunities as well in technology, film, business services, food, as I said earlier, and those are the things that we want to continue to engage with yourselves on. One of our immediate focus as well is to really boost entrepreneurship. We've got young people in South Africa who are very determined to get involved in businesses, and we believe that engaging with yourself will give that opportunity as well to get these young people to really get seriously involved in businesses. In the continent of Africa, we've adopted what we call the Africa Free Trade Agreement, and you can take advantage of that once you invest in South Africa. We believe that this agreement has created the world's largest free trade area. As you know, we have 55 countries in the continent. So you're really talking about close to 1.3 billion people. So this free trade area is quite big, and we believe that using South Africa as a gateway into the continent, you will benefit from this Africa Continental Free Trade Area. I'm told that if you look at the 55 countries in the continent, they have a combined GDP value of about 3.4 trillion US dollars. So it's quite huge. But let me conclude. The rest I'm going to leave to them to go into the detail. Let me conclude by saying, as South Africa, we are encouraging foreign companies to come and invest so that we can benefit from some of the things I'm talking about, including the free movement of goods and services in the continent. We believe that this is a game changer for us. You know, Africa's got huge potential for growth. And we have always positioned South Africa as a gateway. Once you are in Johannesburg, it's easy to do business in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in Tanzania, in the DRC. So we want, because South Africa has much better infrastructure and logistics, it's easy to move from South Africa to many parts of the continent. I therefore, ladies and gentlemen, desire to motivate Irish business people to participate in this development by establishing your presence in South Africa and conducting business with the rest of Africa from our stunning country, which always referred, as I said earlier, as a gateway to the African market. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can deduce from my speech, there are numerous business opportunities available in our country. I hereby wish to invite you to visit our beautiful country for business purposes, but you can also come for leisure as a tourist. Very nice country indeed. But I know you are interested in business, so for this summit we'll be talking business. But you can come. We've got various game reserves and beautiful landscapes. I'm confident that with this discussion today, we'll come up with new ideas, forge new partnerships, and unlock new opportunities for collaboration between South Africa and Ireland. And together we can build stronger, more prosperous, and a more prosperous future for our nations and contribute to economic prosperity of our regions. Therefore, let us work hand in hand to harness our partnerships, full potential, and leave a legacy of shared success and prosperity for generations to come. We're not doing this just for ourselves, but generations to come after us must say, yes, they did it. let's follow in their footsteps and continue to build. So I'm very happy. It's my first time in Ireland. Somebody was saying you should have come when it's warmer. But I'm enjoying to be here, and indeed, because we'll be working together going forward, I'm sure this is not the last time I come. We are also working on the visit by the President himself to do a state visit as part of strengthening our bilateral relations, but also to continue strengthening trade between our two countries, working together to develop our nations. With those few words, remarks, I thank you very much. As you can see, I didn't do a keynote address. Thank you very much.